Now it's a rush hour, and every house in the camp that is the United Opposition is trying to put their house in order ahead of this particular camp meeting that will now decide which house will be the house that represents the entire camp as a compromise house in the 2027 presidential race. Now we have seen from the Jubilee House, the Red House, leadership has been changed and the structures have been changed as a part or a way of having the house clean and in order ahead of this particular camp meeting. But we have seen other houses, including the DAP Kenya, being a fractured house ahead of this particular camp meeting. We did not only see the deputy party leader leave and join an entire different camp, we are now also seeing other individuals demanding for inclusion or for a formal way of deciding at who is the party leader for the DAP Kenya party. So tunaona Natembea is trying to arise to that particular position ahead of this arrangement of 2027, but Wamalwa ameshikilia that position so strongly, or maybe not so strongly, as the party leader. Now away from the DAP Kenya party, umeona Wiper, they have been trying to do their international trips, including trips to Nigeria, where Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka is now soliciting for partnership, strong partnerships, both financially and strategically, for the campaign period of 2026 and 2027. Kwa nyumba ya Martha, things are okay. We have not seen much activity going on from the PLP side. The DP party, the party that belongs to Honorable JB Muturi, yesterday actually had a national convention. They had a national delegates convention, an NDC, that now settled upon Honorable Justin B. Muturi as their preferred candidate should this particular camp get to that meeting, and they are deciding to look at the DP direction for a leader, which is also very possible. Remember, all these candidates, or most of these candidates, started their political careers with Kibaki or around Kibaki, so they were in DP at one point in time. And so if they were to look at their origin and say we are getting a candidate from the Democratic Party, then Justin B. Muturi yesterday was now settled upon by the delegates of that particular party as the individual to represent them. Away from that party, there's also another mountain party, that is the DCP party, which is almost similar in name with the DP party. And the DCP party, for them, they are putting their house in order. Their presidential candidate or their principal is Rigathi Gachagua, who has self-declared the fitness to face Ruto in the 2027 ballot. Now, all this arrangement is going across all the parties of the United Opposition, and primarily the reason why this is going on is to ensure kwamba by the time they're getting into talks, each house is ready and well positioned for the elections. Now, the substance of our mirror today at the People's Mirror is this particular conference, the National Delegate Conference that was held by the DP party. Now we saw all the principals of the United Opposition attend, or most of them. Eugene was there, Martha was there, we saw JB himself was there, Kalonzo was there, of course Okengo was there, and Rigathi was there. And so we just want to put before the mirror the statements that were made. Whether these statements now portray an individual positioning ahead of other co-principals, or these statements portray unity for all the co-principals before they decide on a leader ahead of 2027, these statements are necessary for the decisions that wakifika in that particular camp meeting, the United Opposition are going to decide upon. And so without wasting time and without further ado, let us just get right in to the statement, beginning from the first principal being their sister principal, that is Honorable Martha Karua. What did she say, and what does the fact that she said whatever she said has an effect of shaping the 2027 political narrative? So let's start with Martha.
DP. May I begin by congratulating my brother, the Honorable JB Muturi, on his election as the party leader and flag bearer for presidential elections. DP, munajua nilianza DP. I can see you are carrying on the democratic tradition of actually holding competitive elections. Muendelee hivyo hivyo. Kwa kifupi sana, we are in the United Opposition because we all agree to the one-term movement to remove the pain of Kasongo, which is on every household. Na tumesema lazima tujipende kama Wakenya. We must agree to one candidate for the presidential and all other consequential seats, ndivyo tuondoe hii serikali ya uongo, ya Kasongo na uongo. Leo hatutasema mengi sababu tunaenda kwa appointment ingine. Tulikuwa hapa tu muelewe tuko pamoja as united opposition with one common purpose, kuleta uongozi bora katika nchi yetu. Kuleta uongozi wa mwongozo ya kisheria na sio mwongozo wa mtu binafsi na vile fikra zake ziko. The manual for operating the Republic of Kenya is the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Asanteni sana. Huyu ni kiongozi wa People's Liberation Party. Mahali tunasema unite, liberate. Ndivyo tupate umoja na haki. We have to unite to liberate Kenya.
Now, that is the take of Honorable Martha Karua. She's saying that the pillar, of course, that we compare everything against when it comes to Kenya is the constitution. Na anasema party yake ni unite to liberate, which actually speaks into the spirit of the united opposition sasa venye wako. The only thing that the united opposition can actually use to liberate the nation right now is when their unity, for example, sticks together until 2027. That is, if the nation needs any liberation at all. And other than that, of course, there were other statements that were made, including statements of the other members of the united opposition key principles. So let's go to the second principle. And what did they say in JB's launch, or when JB was actually given the mandate to become the presidential flag bearer for the DP party? From statements of Martha Karua, of course, you can say that there is no impartiality, there is no partiality rather of any kind. She's not trying to portray bid as the best bid over Muturi's or trying to portray Muturi's bid over hers. It's just an appearance of colleagues, and to that end she has spoken her mind. Let's listen to what did Kalonzo say.
We congratulate brother JB for being elected unanimously of the Democratic Party. We are the founding leader, whom I had the honor to serve as his vice president, and is very elaborately displayed before us, the late Honorable Mike. We want to make it very clear, that we hold no grudge, we hold no rule, impunity, the killing of our people. What happened in Othaya over the weekend is domestic terrorism. And we are taking legal action to do private prosecution of those individuals who have been identified as perpetrators. Because we realize if we don't, Kasongo will continue to take this country for granted. Number two, we are giving notice that Kenyans are not going to take this lying down. We are going to Vigilante House as a starting point for that prosecution. We will serve that complaint, and after that complaint, we will take action. Thirdly, I see the movement is alert. We are going to call for one forum for all the one-term movement candidates everywhere in the country to get together, agree, because that is how we are now also going to bolster. United, very, very united, and the country takes DP. God bless our brother B for standing so strong and able, and may God.
Now that is before they moved to their meeting with the IEBC, which we have detailed in our channel, the Civic Lens, on what happened in that particular meeting that they had with the IEBC and the conditions that they displayed for the IEBC in their meetings. And finally, whether or not those conditions will be met by the IBC. So that part of the story of what happened with the IBC you can find in our other channel, our parent channel, the Civic Lens KE. But this particular part, I want us to go back to the statements that have been made by Manstivo. Now, for Kalonzo, the whole thing that happened in Othaya, of course, to him looks like internal terrorism. And so he says that this particular Othaya thing is still on. It's like now they are going to do private prosecution for these individuals when you are Leonikana Othaya. I don't know your comment and thoughts on that. Please let us know in the comment section what you think of the move by the action by the united opposition to have prosecuted these particular individuals of Othaya. Let us just know in the comment section. The reason why I'm asking us to share our thoughts in the comment section when it comes to the Othaya case is because there were two sides of the story to it and two sides of the coin to it. So I'm just thinking of a scenario where a private prosecution is begun by the united opposition, and now getting into the deep details of this particular matter, you unearth through evidence that the people that were involved, certain gaps of them or certain individuals of them that were involved, were actually in coordination by the united opposition. If at all the other side of the coin also weighs water, or what if they ignore going through the private prosecution way, and then it turns out very, very clearly that the person that perpetrated this was from the ruling side. And so your thoughts on whether or not the united opposition should go ahead with that is very, very necessary. Now, Kalonzo has finished his part of the speech, of course, also just saying that he came from the DP party and had the opportunity to serve under, of course, Honorable Mwai Kibaki, who was the founder of the party. Let us listen to the other co-principal, Eugene Wamalwa, who also made speeches in this particular conference, and then I think it will be Okengo, and then Rigathi Gachagua before we put an end to our commentatorship really on the statements that were made by these members of the united opposition, the solid co-principals in this particular DP meeting that had JB Muturi as the preferred presidential candidate for that party.
DP wana DP, hamjambo. Tuko hapa kwanza ndugu yetu JB Muturi na wenzake viongozi wa chama hayati Mwai Kibaki kuchaguliwa kama hiki cha kihistoria. Makofi kwenu jamani. Juzi tukimpongeza Mheshimiwa Martha Karua na PLP kimchagua yeye kuwa kiongozi na mbeba bendera wa PLP kwa kinyang'anyiro cha urais. Leo tuna furaha kurudi pahala pa historia kuona ndugu yetu JB akipewa ile tochi ya uongozi wa chama, naye sio tu kiongozi wa chama lakini ni mbeba bendera kwa kinyang'anyiro cha urais. Kweli si kweli? Mmempa hiyo idhini? Wangapi wamesema just in time? Hongera ndugu yangu. Hilo ndio jambo limetuleta hapa, lakini pia tumweleze ya kwamba nafikiri yeye amekuwa nambari 5 sasa kwa muungano wetu wa upinzani kupewa hiyo jukumu. Nilitunukiwa heshima hiyo na chama changu cha DP Kenya, nikuwa namba 1 kuchukua hiyo nafasi. Bi Karua alikuwa nambari 2 katika hapa ufungamano. Ndugu yetu Kalonzo Musyoka akapewa bendera na Wiper Patriotic Front. Ndugu yetu Fred Matiang'i amepewa bendera na chama cha Jubilee kupata the 5th leader and flag bearer, hoja ya Wamunyoro mwenyewe ako anajipanga. So tuko pamoja, lakini pia tumueleze ndugu JB ya kwamba sisi kwa muungano, sisi ni watu wa one term na tutaungana. Tukia beba bendera sisi sote tutakuwa nyuma yake. Karua ama Rigiji ama Matiang'i ama Wamalwa, sisi sote tutasimama nyuma yake. Mtatunga mkono jamani? So leo tunataka tuambie msiwe na wasiwasi, umoja huu vile DP mnasema umoja na haki, tuungane hadi mwisho na tutoe mmoja wetu. Ndio ujumbe tunaleta hapa siku ya leo. Lakini pia mwisho tukisema the Democratic Party, that light, vile alama yenu ni taa. Hii ndio imekuwa taa ya demokrasia ya Kenya tangu nyakati ya Kibaki akipigania. But today as we speak, our democracy is in utter because of hooliganism, because of good and of the people, by the people, for the people. But when you have a government and
from those very dangerous jokes, please, Kenyans, this is the time to stand firm in defense of democracy. Number one. Number two, I've said this before. Anyone who's betting for our differences, you will lose your bet. You will lose your bet. We are going to stand together and we are going to remain united. Our ambitions and our challenges compared to the unthinkable and unimaginable possibility of this administration. Finally, because this is an opportunity in public to say this, tafadhali serikali, getting people around, that money for capitation, take that money to schools, season, going all over the country bribing people, waiting for our parents and our children. Reasonable people do. That is how Singapore became Singapore. God bless you.
So that was the take from both of them. We mixed both of their feedback because there was that breaking part of it, of both the principals being Eugene and of course being Matiang'i. Now from Eugene's take, I think he's just saying that other than Rigathi Gachagua was not fully received mandate from his DCP party to become the flag bearer, all these other leaders of the united opposition right now have now been given the clearance by their individual parties to become flag bearer, and even details in the order through which they received those particular clearances, saying that of course he started first off, and then there was Martha Karua second off, and then there was Kalonzo Musyoka third off, and then there was Okengo Matiang'i being given the mandate by the Jubilee, and now the DP party leader has also received the mandate, and so it's just the DCP party leader who is, I think, yet to hold the delegates conference and of course receive that mandate. Now the two of them is interesting combination, because what Matiang'i is saying is also very important. Matiang'i is now saying that if you're betting at the downfall of the united opposition, then woe unto you, you're going to lose your bet. Now these are confirmations of unity that are very, very important for their supporters at this point, because this is the last year. Then we are getting into the election year. And so if they're not united and they're not standing together, then this is the year that they lose it. If they are united and they're standing together, then this is the year that they can actually accelerate the support that they have accumulated in the recent past and deliver a solid win. And so from wherever they are standing, they are saying that the government should not use the resources as they are to bribe people. So I don't know what resources specifically. Perhaps they're talking about the initiatives and the schemes that the government has been having going on. But they're saying that the government should not use that particular resources for that mandate, and should rather channel resources to capitation, into schools and to health and such like places where such resources are needed. Which reminds me, this particular conference was coming at a time when there is a revelation that was made that around 11 billion Kenyan shillings actually have been looted out of SHA. And now SHA is just coming in to replace NHIF that was functional. And the reason why SHA came to place was to do away with corruption. And now we're being told 11 billion Kenyan shillings now cannot be traced as a result of a loot within the SHA. Later on, perhaps within the People's Mirror, we are going to detail for you that story that now puts the CS for Health, Aden Duale, on the spot yet again to explain the origin of the 11 billion Kenyan shillings, or its whereabouts, now that it's no longer traceable within the SHA accounts. But Okengo Matiang'i is saying that the resources that the government is using to actually bribe people, to set up schemes that motivate the youth, including the Nyota, which now the united opposition terms as bribing the voter, should actually be channeled to this particular lacking institutional gaps, including education and health. So Rigathi Gachagua also had a chance to make a speech in this particular conference, and this is just a part of his speech that we are concluding with before we close this episode.
And we are happy to have joined DP in Mbeere for the by-election, uchaguzi ambaye tulishinda tukaibiwa. We are here to say, the people of Kenya are telling me, and I believe they are telling all of you, they don't know who will be president, but they know who will not be. Watu wa Kenya wameamua ni nani hata kuwa rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Hawajui ni nani. Wametuambia sisi yote tutoe mtu mo. Hapo ndio mnataka hata nyinyi. I want to give my commitment and that of DCP that we shall make whatever sacrifices necessary to have one presidential candidate to make William Ruto one term.
So Rigathi mwenye amekuwa on the rampage in 2026 and actually was been very boldly declaring that he's fit for the peak for the united opposition. Now yesterday declared that if it calls for making sacrifices, then he has made a commitment, and the commitment is now one that has also been made by the DCP party through him, that whatever sacrifice that they will have to make to settle on one candidate that ensures President William Ruto's one term becomes a choice that is willing to be part of. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure recapping for you what is coming out of that camp and out of the Kenyan political scene in the past 24 hours. Keep it here at the People's Mirror as we update you on more as they envelop out of the Kenyan political scene. Until our next episode.